So this challenge is all about spatial, and if you're like me and you don't use the spatial tools that often, you always go in thinking, oh, I don't know what to do. You create the points and then you just play with all the different tools until something works. So my workflows become quite long as I try and figure out what's the best way to approach each of these problems. So I will confess to you immediately that I took a sneaky peek at the solution to help me think through the 3 different ways that you would do it, and I learned a lot from that. So hopefully I can learn even more by trying to explain it in a coherent way on this video. So what is the challenge? So we've got these 2 offices in these 2 locations, and we need to find the midpoint between them. So for the first solution, create the points. If I just stick a browse tool on the end there, then we will see those points, one down here, one up here. And my methodology was thinking, okay, so I'll draw a line between them, find the midpoint of the line, right? So we use the polybuild tool to create a sequence polyline, and that gives us our line between them. Lovely. And then we just need to use the spatial info tool to output the centroid, so the center kind of point of that line as x and y fields, and that is exactly what gets you to the right solution. So that way is nice and simple. That's kind of the way that I would think through and achieve this challenge if I was doing it myself. The next one I find really interesting because I didn't know that this is something that you could do when you're working with spatial data. So what we're going to do is kind of the mathematical approach. Others have dubbed it because you can see we don't use any spatial tools at all here. Then we're transposing it all down. And then our field 2 is our, I can never remember which way around it is. Field 2 is our longitudes, so we're just filtering those off, and we're just taking the average longitude. And then, as I'm sure you can guess, for field 1, we just take the average of that as well for the latitudes, and then we just stick those back together, join it by record position rather than by joining on anything else, and then that gives us our average latitude and longitude, and that's how you can do it. I never knew you could do it like that, so that's a great learning to have. And then the third and final method involves, you can see here that we've got a line going diagonally one way. We're just going to create, sorry, this one has the line in it. We're just going to create a line that goes diagonally the other way, and we'll take the intersection of those 2 lines. So we keep only the latitudes, and we rename them to the new latitude, and then we join those on to our old ones so that we then have like 2 fields for latitude, and we create the points for both, the new points and the old points. So if we have a look at what that's looking like at the moment, then you can see we've got this sort of square. I mean, it's not really a square, it's not even a rectangle. 4 points. Okay, we've got 4 points, and then we're going to create our lines using the summarize tool. So this is kind of different ways that you can use spatial functionality without using the spatial tools themselves. We're using them in formula tools and in summarize tools. And then you can see that we've got a nice kind of X marks the spot for the point that we're trying to get to. So then we're using the formula tool again to do the intersection between the old points and the new points, and we're wanting the X value returned, the X coordinate returned, I should say, and then we're doing the same, but we're getting the Y coordinate returned for the intersection of the old points and the new points. And that gives us, again, the same answer. So that's really interesting, those 3 different ways of solving this problem. And I hope it was useful for you to have someone talk through those solutions. But please let me know if anything wasn't clear. Thank you for listening.